far more exciting than it was ever intended to be. Welcome back to the Another71 CPA Exam podcast. As always, I'm your humble host, Jeff Elliott, a licensed CPA in the state of Kansas by the grace of God and to the chagrin of many. And the number is growing daily, I assure you. Today is February 12th, 2025. I keep writing 2024. Anyone else do that? And this is CPA Exam podcast 112. Couple ways to get a hold of me. You can, I'm doing two things at once. I'm like streaming on two different devices. Tell you 5 different channels. Hey, Brody. You can email me, Jeff at Another71.com, or you can go to Another71.com/ask Jeff, and you can ask me a question there. All right. Well, we begin with this. And by the way, if you're on Instagram, you can ask a question, or if you are on YouTube, Facebook, X, LinkedIn, you can make a comment in the chat and I'll answer your question there as well. All right. So we begin with this. Is the new CPA exam broken? Well, Q4 2024 pass rates came out and they were a bit surprising. So FAR is the lowest that it's ever been at 36.8%. And BAR, which is the Moody offspring of FAR and BEC, was the lowest score ever at 33.7%. So I have a comparison of 2006 to 2024 CPA exam pass rates. You can go to Another71.com/rates. And you'll see it there. And I double and triple checked it because it's embarrassing to get called on something. Kind of like this week when a gentleman by the name of Dr. Josh McGowan, he's a CPA and he's a director at the William H. Carr School of Accountancy at Troy University. Caused quite a stir online with the pass rates. And I made a comment in the chat or in his thread that most states are still 150 hours to sit. And he corrected me. He said, no, they're 120. Like, when did that happen? It's a little embarrassing. So I double and triple checked the CPA exam pass rates data again at Another71.com/rates. I get real nervous. I must get nervous. Because it's like no one's here, but a bunch of people are here. Speaking of Dr. Josh McGowan, nice guy. We had a nice exchange in the DMs, but he wrote on Twitter/X. I still can't call it X. I feel like I'm a big poser. So that's what the cool kids call it. I still call it Twitter, so X, whatever. But Twitter/X, he wrote, the consensus on the new exam was FAR would see higher pass rates. Well, back up. He said that the new CPA exam was broken. And he said the consensus on the new exam was that FAR would see higher pass rates as difficult material was moved to BAR. And yes, I also believe that. He continues, unfortunately, we see the lowest quarterly FAR pass percentage in at least the last 15 years. Yep, they're ugly. Additionally, BAR's pass rate is almost 40%. So he means 40 percentage points lower than TCP's. He writes, the difference in difficulty between discipline sections is 100% influencing the decisions on which CPA exam section to attempt. I agree. This is a major issue and needs to be corrected ASAP. Okay, this is where I disagree. And we'll get to that in a minute. He writes, audit Q4 results also raise concerns. Only one other quarter in the past 15 years resulted in a lower pass percentage. And he writes, overall, current test takers seem to be at a major disadvantage compared to those that sat in the exam in the years past. Another point that I disagree on, politely disagree on. All right, so let's take these one by one and break them down. All right, so first he says this is a major issue that needs to be corrected ASAP. Okay, so I disagree with that, and here's why. CPA candidates will adapt like they always have. So when there's a change, there's typically a dip in pass rates. So I've been doing this full time since, well, I've been doing this since 2008. Can you imagine how many score releases have come and gone since 2008? I've been there for all of them. I've been doing it full time since 2010. So I've seen a lot. So when there's a change, there's typically a dip in pass rate. So in FAR in 2011, that was when the big to-do then was IFRS. Everyone was freaking out. IFRS was going to be on FAR. Well, FAR dipped 3 points quarter by quarter versus the previous year, and then it rebounded. Auditing. The big deal was the clarity standards in 2013. So back in 2013, the people who were taking auditing had to know both the clarity standards and what they called the extant standards. Extant standards. And so you had to know both for like one little, well, like I think it's for the year. You had to know both. And so like as a review course, we had to have both listed. Okay. So the clarity standards, huge deal. 2013, there was a dip and there was a recovery. 2017, the CPA exam changed quite a bit. It was a big deal. Dip, recovery. So you can kind of see a theme here. But let's say that there's no recovery. Let's say this is the new normal. Well, maybe the AI CPA dials back some of the FAR changes. So maybe they realize, or I don't know if it's not a fact that they went overboard, but maybe they decide that they went overboard, knowing that FAR was going to be easier. Everyone thought it was going to be easier. I thought it was going to be easier. Maybe there were too many way out there FAR sim topics. Maybe they need to play some more of the classics like inventory, bond amortizations. The AI CPA knows what is happening, and either they're good with it or they're going to make a change. They're going to dial it back a little bit. Only they know. So the first contention is that there's a major issue. It needs to be corrected. Disagree for those reasons. Secondly, he says overall current test takers seem to be at a major disadvantage compared to those that sat for the exam in the past. Again, I disagree. So FAR isn't that much lower than normal. So listen to this. 42, 43, 44, 39, 42, 41, 40, and 37. Okay, obviously the 37 is an outlier. So those are the FAR pass rates from the past 2 years, including the year before the big change. So like I said, CPA candidates will adapt. And hey, ISC and TCP, they're calling out, choose me. TCP especially. TCP has 82, 76, 73, and 72. So when you average the pass rate for FAR and TCP, it combines for 59%. And obviously those are not weighted. But so then when you add in auditing at 45% give or take and regulation at 62% give or take, you're looking at a pass rate by section of about 55%. That's my initial Spidey math. Feel free to yell at me. Pretty sure that's right though. Because again, I don't want to be embarrassed by having bad math. So of course, these are again unweighted numbers, so take them with a grain of salt. But when you compare the 2022 and the 2021 pass rates, and we'll throw out 2023 due to people scrambling to take BEC. Yeah, it comes out about 54% per section. So again, You can see those pass rates at another71.com/rates. Now, in that same thread, another person attributed the low pass rates to the CPA review courses. They wrote, there's a possibility that the study solutions are just not meeting the mark as well. This may seem like a valid point for someone who doesn't work in the CPA exam prep world, but for the most part, the 2024 CPA exam was a reshuffling of content. So you had FAR to bar, BEC to bar, BEC to auditing, regulation to TCP, and then BEC to ISC. So the overwhelming majority of the content being tested in 2023 was tested again in 2024, just under a different label in some instances. So the content that was brand new was ISC and TCP. So the exams that had no AI CPA release questions for the review providers to build off of were ISC and TCP. So this means that that we had to build the questions from scratch. We kind of had to guess as to what they thought they were going to be like. So the biggest opportunities for CPA review courses like Becker, UWorld, Surgent, Gleim, and Ninja, yours truly, to fall flat on their faces was ISC and TCP. Well, what exams had the highest pass rates in 2024? Reg, ISC, and TCP. So the review courses did a good job, even little old Ninja. In conclusion, is the new CPA exam broken? No, it's just fine. The best order to take the CPA exams for your best advantage is FAR, auditing, regulation, and TCP. Just remember FART, fart, and you'll pick the right order. Now we go to the Ask Jeff mailbag. You can email me, jeff@another71.com. Or go to another71.com, click Ask Jeff in the top nav, and I'll answer it on the next show. And if you're watching live in the comments, you can ask me there as well. And we're also on Instagram. So if you're on, so I can't stream live for Instagram from my computer, so I'm doing it the old-fashioned way on mobile. So you can say, "Hey," if you can hear me, say, "Hey, Jeff." All right. Going to the chat. All right. No one is in the chat right now, so that must mean that the content is so super awesome that they don't have anything to say. So if you have a question, you can put it in the chat. All right. Shannon says, I have 2 questions left in my Mac program. And I had a thing or two to say about Macs today on LinkedIn. Most people agreed with it. Some people did not. You can go check that out if you want to. But they are not offered. So let me start over. I have two classes left in my Mac program, but they are not offered until next semester. Has anyone found it beneficial to use Ninja CPA to keep up the study habits during a lull like I am? I won't qualify to sit for the CPA until I finish those last 2 classes. So I get this question sometimes, people who they're in college and they kind of want to pre-study to get a feel for the information. And you're going to subscribe to Ninja, and I'd love to have you as a customer, but I do not recommend anyone pre-study for the CPA exam. Here's why. You shouldn't start studying until you're about 7 to 8 weeks out from your exam, because you will get burned out. So most CPA candidates right now, as they're studying for the CPA exam, are burned out. Sorry. And Shannon, they wish that they were in your shoes and could just go back to not having to study. So while you can enjoy life and be carefree and just enjoy your life, live your life. The CPA exam can wait. The misery can wait, because once you're in exam mode, like, you really have no life. And so when you're ready to take your exam, like, well, you should take FAR first. Apply for FAR, and when you get your NTS and you set your exam date, that's when you should start studying. So pre-studying for the CPA exam is a bad idea. Enjoy your life. All right, question in the chat. Well, let's see if we go. Can you please create more questions on ERISA? I actually don't know how many questions we have on ERISA off the top of my head, but I can look, and I can promise that I will talk to Ninja Mike about it and see if we need to add some more. This is the first time I've ever had someone ask me for more ERISA questions. So, but I promise you that I will look. And if you email me, Jeff at Another71.com, I will let you know what I decided. Thank you for the question. And again, if you have a question, you can you ask it on Instagram. It's like people are watching but not asking anything. That's cool. And on Instagram, MoMoney1090 says, I passed in 2016 because of your product. You the man. Oh, thank you. You did all the work. Gordiva says, has the score release gone back to how it was prior to 2024? I believe so. Yeah. I believe that they're switching back to the old way. I think that at least for the core exams. I'm not sure about the discipline sections. Not being a CPA candidate, I don't quite pay attention to the like the nuances of the score release. I mean, I should know that off the top of my head, but I don't. So it's probably on my website. So Mohammed on YouTube says, what should I do? I'm struggling with FAR Blueprint Area 2. I don't remember what FAR Blueprint Area 2 is off the top of my head. I don't have it in front of me, but I mean, it doesn't really matter. So if you are struggling with a specific blueprint area, well, I'm not sure what CPA review course you're using. You can tell me if you want. Yeah, there you go. There you go. What should I do? I'm struggling with FAR Blueprints Area 2. There you go. Like if you're using Ninja, and if you're struggling with FAR Blueprint Area 2, then I would do a section of 20 practice problems. I call them mini testlets, and I would hammer Area 2 until you're scoring mid to high 70s, and then move on to the other areas. Or if you know that there's a topic or subtopic within Area 2 that you're weak on, like you just know, I would really hammer that. So I'm not sure about the other test banks. I'm sure that they have this feature where you can drill down into the blueprint, but that's what I would do. I would like, and that really goes for any blueprint area that you're struggling with. Just hammer it until it really becomes a strength. So that's what I would do. That's how you do it. Let's see, on Instagram. Is Ninja a complementary material, or how can or can I use it alone? I'm using Becker now. Yeah. So prior to 2025, we just had like one option. You can use it two different ways. Now we have the Ninja as a supplement option or the Ninja as a course option. So, and the reason why we did that was because we just like gave you to use. I think it was like people were almost paralyzed by how many how many things, because when you're already feeling overwhelmed on the exam, and then we like dump like 8 things for you to look at, audio book, flashcards, MCQ, etc. It's like it can be pretty overwhelming. So we made a supplement package. So we took the 3 most popular items for Ninja, which is the notes, the audio, and the MCQ. And so that's in one subscription. Then everything else that you would want in a course. So all this, everything I just said, the notes, the audio, and the MCQ, and the supplement MCQ is the full test bank. It's everything. But the supplement package plus the full Ninja book, the flashcards, the sparring. We added something recently called Sensei, which is pretty cool. I'm pretty biased, but Sensei is pretty cool. And essentially, it's AI, but it only has the Ninja knowledge base in it. So there's nothing else in it but the Ninja knowledge base. So all of the Ninja material is in there, and so you can ask it a question, and it will solve problems for you based solely on the Ninja knowledge base. So anyway, yeah. So that was a long way of saying it's a full course. Question on Instagram. Simulations can be so overwhelming. Should I just hammer MCQs instead? Will that be enough? I'm not a big fan of practicing simulations, and I know some people disagree. And you can't just can't just ignore it. Like you can't just ignore simulations. You can't. But I'm a strong proponent of learning how to do this. So learning the concepts. So the MCQs and the sims, they test the same concepts. They just test them in a different way. And so if you understand inventory well enough to do great on the MCQ, then you'll also understand inventory well enough to do on the simulations. The only problem is sometimes it asks you, the AI CPA will ask you the knowledge that you already know, but in a different way. And sometimes it can be kind of confusing. And so what I would do is I would set aside like the Saturday before your exam and think, okay, what MCQ or what simulations am I probably going to get? Bonds, inventory, leases, stuff like that. So kind of your the classics. That's what I would do. And you're welcome. And all right. Going back to Muhammad, close it out. So I'm using Ninja and I just failed far. I just failed far. So I'm laughing because he used my course. Failed. So I really want to make sure because I'm prepared this time around. If you could tell me what your training score was, that would be helpful. Of course, follows up. What should my training score be before retaking FAR? Your training score, I recommend your training score being at least in the low to mid 80s. That's where I would feel safe if I had a training score in the low to mid 80s. So Muhammad, real quick, if you can tell me what your training score was. And Question on Instagram: are the research questions still on the test as simulations? Not like they were, where you have to be able to navigate the authoritative literature. They're not testing you on your ability to do that, but there is a research component. You still know how to you still have to know how to use it. I would go to the AI CPA's practice exam at AICPA.org. That's what I would do. All right. So Mohammed says, thank you. High to mid 60s. Okay. Yep. So, yeah, I would get that training score definitely high 70s. If I walked into my exam with a training 83 or something, or 81, I feel pretty good. That gives you some margin. So, all right. Dark Ray on YouTube. If you want to check out the Another71 YouTube channel, you can go to another71.com/YouTube. You'll see all the fun stuff there. He says, I presume it's a he. I don't know why I presume that. I'm working at Big Four. Can you please give me some advice on how to manage my time? All right, so I'm assuming that you're going through busy season right now, and I have a write-up for busy season. It's at another71.com/busy, and I put these little shortcuts so that you don't have to go searching for it, and so you can just find it. It'll redirect. But it's how to study 20 hours a week during busy season, and that's kind of a big deal. Why? Because it's always busy season. So I have what's called the L plan, and I was coming up with what do I name it? Oh yeah, the first 3 letters of my last name, and early lunch, late. And so that's how you study 20 hours a week during busy season, or just 20 hours a week, period. And I'd say I tell people it's how to study 20 hours a week without even noticing. You'll notice, but hopefully your loved ones won't. So, all right. So this is the early lunch, late plan. Okay. This is assuming that you have at least the Ninja supplement package, because you start with the audio. So let's say that your commute is 30 minutes each way. So 4 hours a day, or 4 times a week. So like driving to work, listen to the Ninja audio. Driving home from work, you can listen to Spotify or whatever. But driving to work, you're studying. Driving home from work, you're just wanting to listen to whatever you listen to. And so not a big ask, just one way during your commute, 4 times a week. You take Friday off. So 4 times a week, take Friday off. That's 2 hours of studying, because the Ninja audio covers like pretty much all the concepts. So that's 2 hours of studying right there as a foundation. Now here's the early part. You get up a little earlier than you normally would. Let's say 5 to 6:30 a.m. and you do that 4 times a week. So that's 1.5 hours of studying. Now, it's probably not 1.5 hours of real studying, because you're gonna wish that you weren't studying and really think about it and check online for a while. But if you want to have any success with the early plan, you have to have the coffee maker ready. You got to take a cold shower, whatever you need to do. But let's assume that you study 1.5 hours before work. 1.5 hours times 4, because you sleep in on Friday. That's 6 hours. That's early. Then lunch. So let's say you get a 1-hour lunch and you eat for 15 minutes. And then from 12:15 to 1, let's say you take your lunch at noon. From 12:15 to 1, it's 0.75 hours, 4 times a week. Friday, you get to go out and eat lunch. That's 3 hours. Then late, get home, eat dinner, get the kids to bed, et cetera, et cetera. From 9 to 10:30, you're studying. Hour and a half, 4 times a week. Friday, get Friday off, 6 hours. Then from 10:30 to 11, watch The Office. Watch an Office season 2 rerun with your significant other, just to relax. All right. So like I said, take Friday off. That's a cool thing. Like you can, this plan is as flexible as you want it to be. So you can take Friday off or Saturday off, whatever you want to do. But if it were me, I'd want to take Friday off, have something to look forward to. And so then you have a big study weekend ahead of you, right? No. Pick one day, Saturday or Sunday, or split it 1.5 each day, only 3 hours. You just studied 20 hours. Here's the math. Ninja Audio, 2 hours. Early, 6 hours. Lunch, 3 hours. Late, 6 hours. Saturday and Sunday, 3 hours. That's 20 study hours. And it really didn't sound that bad, did it? So that's how you study 20 hours a week during busy season. That's how you study 20 hours a week during really any other time. It's actually very, very doable and really not as bad as you would think. All right, going back to the chat. Richard on YouTube, does FAR core, so FAR is a core exam, does it mainly consist of intermediate accounting and principles of accounting? Yeah, it does. For the most part, that is. They shifted the more advanced stuff over to FAR. Yep. And because of that, I thought it would be an easier exam. I thought the pass rates would go up. Quite the opposite. And I don't really understand it. But yeah, in theory, the FAR core is mainly intermediate accounting and principles of accounting with some advanced accounting in there too. Going back to Instagram. Yeah, sorry. 20 hours a week for 7 to 8 weeks. So 7 to 8 weeks is kind of the sweet spot. Sorry, my throat gets real dry when I'm speaking like this, and then I plus I'm a little nervous, and inevitably my voice will start cracking if I don't keep it moisturized. Okay. All right, SKM on YouTube. Again, Another71.com/YouTube. You can subscribe and all that. How long does it take to study for FAR? How many months? And this will help answer your question too. So here it is. Here is the 7 to 8 weeks with the Ninja framework. Here we go. So this is for FAR or for any exam. 7 to 8 weeks is ideal, unless you're studying full time. That's a whole other beast, and it has its own problems as well. But if you're working 7 to 8 weeks, so you nail the concepts for 3 weeks. So either you're reading your book, you're watching your videos, all that. You're not doing any multiple choice questions. I don't care if they have application questions at the end of the chapter. Don't do them. And most of the review courses say chapter 1 video, chapter 1 questions, chapter 2 video, chapter 2 questions. Well, look at the pass rates. People are studying inefficiently and effectively, because when you do the questions in week 1, you're not going to remember them in week 8. And so it's a waste of time. And I've been on this soapbox for many years. So nail the concepts. So if you're ninja only, you're watching sparring or reading the book, or if you're using Becker, then you're just watching the videos, or Becker plus Ninja. If you're gonna nail the concepts with Becker, and then you can do the multiple choice with Ninja, whatever. 3 weeks, nail the concepts. Once the 3 weeks are done, like once that timer's up, there's no going back. You're closing the book. Ninja book is a PDF. You never go back to PDF unless you really need to like look something up, because if you go past 3 weeks, that's going to creep into your MCQ time, and you'll be at a severe disadvantage then. So you're nailing the concepts for 3 weeks. While you're doing that, you're taking intense notes. So taking notes over just everything that kind of stands out during the nail the concepts phase. So 3 weeks are up. Now we're moving into the non-step MCQ phase. If you spend 2 weeks in the non-step MCQ phase, it's going to be at 7 weeks. If you spend 3 weeks, you're going to be at 8 weeks total. So for non-step MCQ, you're hammering MCQ and you're continuing to take notes. I would take a legal pad, draw a line down the middle, make little bullet points, etc. And anything that you miss or you think you might miss later, write it down. I would do it by topic. If you're a ninja, I would do it not according to the blueprint. You can work questions by the ninja book, and I would separate it by the ninja book because the ninja book is topical. Because there are some CPA exam topics that span several blueprint areas. So that's what I would do there. Non-step MCQ, 2 or 3 weeks, then you rewrite your notes for a week. Most people won't do that, and that's okay. But what rewriting your notes does versus highlighting, like highlighting stupid, you shouldn't do it. Friends don't let friends highlight. Don't do it. Throw the highlighters in the garbage. Can you tell I hate highlighting? Because when you write something down, it makes a connection between your hand and your brain. And versus when you're highlighting, like just painting pretty colors over cheaply printed paper, and doesn't really mean anything to you. But when you take this substantial set of notes and you rewrite it from long form into your long form scribbles into short hand little fact nuggets, I call them, that's where the real benefit comes in. Okay. And so then it all comes together in your final review. I spent a week reviewing, watch the Ninja Cram, read the Ninja notes nonstop, listen to the Ninja audio, like not just to work, but coming home also. And you're just all systems go on study mode. And so that was a long-winded way of saying you should study for FAR 7 to 8 weeks. All right. If you're on Instagram, you have a question, you can post it, or if you're on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, or X, you can leave a comment as well. All right. Van on YouTube says, again, Another71.com/YouTube. You'll find me there. I failed auditing with a 62 and regulation with a 68 the first time, and I'm devastated. This is my first time taking the test, and I used Becker. However, I'm not a good test taker, and I'm feeling bad. What should I do with these scores? What do they indicate? They indicate that you had a bad study plan. That's, I don't know that you need to add any other materials. That would be disingenuous of me to even suggest that. I don't know. Only you know if you need like another test bank or audio or whatever. But you definitely need a better study plan, because I'm assuming it's not the material, so it must be your study plan. Or maybe the materials aren't clicking for you. That happens too. But let's assume it's your study plan. So we're going to go back to nailing the concepts. We're going to nail the concepts, and spend 3 weeks doing that. We're not going to do any multiple choice questions. We're going to take notes while we're doing it. Then we're going to switch over to MCQ. This is where we do our first questions. We're going to do MCQs for 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to take intense, while we're doing MCQs, we're taking intense notes. So intense notes is nail the concepts and nonstop MCQ. Then we're going to spend a week rewriting our notes. You don't have to do it this time around. If you fail again, then you definitely need to rewrite your notes. Highly recommend that you rewrite your notes. And then it all comes together. If you're going only Becker, I guess they have a final review. I would. That's when you would use that. If you're using Becker plus Ninja, this is when you'd switch over to the Ninja Cram. And if you add Ninja, since you've already seen a lot of the Becker questions, I presume, then for the nonstop MCQ phase, I would switch to Ninja MCQ this time around, because people tend to memorize answers. If you use Ninja MCQ for nail the concepts, then for the all comes together, the final review, then I would do the simulations with Becker and some MCQ, just so you kind of switch up the materials a bit, all the while you're listening to the Ninja audio. But I'm not presuming that you're going to add Ninja, so you can nail the concepts, intense notes, nonstop MCQ, rewrite your notes, all comes together. You can do that with Becker alone, and that's just fine. Let's see. If you do not have Ninja materials, you can go to ninjacpareview.com/free. You can check out everything I just talked about, all the notes, MCQ. It's got a free practice exam, audio chapters, etc. You can check that out for free. See if you want to add it as a supplement, or if you feel like it muddies the waters too much. So, yeah, I was not a good test taker either, and on most of my simulations, I didn't finish. I was a slow test taker. I was an overthinker, and you can't overthink on exam day, and you really have to set a time budget. Like, if you're going past 3 minutes a question or whatever the math is, like, you can't just obsess over, like, especially if it's one of those calculation questions and you can't get any of them to work out and you're like freaking out, you're like, oh, here we go again. Just pick B or C and move on. And why B or C? One time I figured it up, and at least with the AI CPA release questions, B or C was just slightly favored over the other, over A and D. Real scientific. I'll pick B or C and move on. You've got to keep a good pace on exam day. You can have great materials, great study plan, but if you don't budget your time on exam day, you're going to bomb, and it can be a real problem. All right, we're about to wrap up here. So if you have a question in the chats, let me have it. Susan writes in the Ninja CPA review group on Facebook. So I'm usually a late adopter of technology, which is a bit ironic. And so I finally added a Facebook group for Ninja CPA review, but I only made it for people who are Ninja subscribers, either past or present, or alums who done graduated. And the reason for that is because I had another Facebook group, and it was full of every type of spam you could think of that wasn't related to the CPA exam. So it's a closed group. Anyway, Susan writes in, Hi, I'm using Ninja as a supplement for audit. I'm sitting in 3 weeks. Any advice on how to handle MCQs and Sims now? I started this weekend going through 30 MCQ at a time and then going back to see what I did wrong. I think I'm still in the evaluation phase. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Yeah, so you're in the nonstop MCQ phase, and what I would do is, so this is for auditing. So auditing, at least in Ninja, the Ninja book has 14 chapters. And so in the Ninja MCQ test bank, you can select questions by the blueprint, or you can select questions according to the Ninja book, which is by topic. I would do the questions by topic, and I would do 3 sets of 20 in each chapter and take notes. So I would do three sets of 20, and if you're feeling pretty good, move on to the next chapter. Or if you're just clearly smoking the content, then move on. That's what I would do. So I do 3 sets of 20 and just keep going down the line, chapter by chapter. Just, some chapters have like 500 questions. Some chapters have like 18 questions. And so that's what I would do. If you're scoring well, high 70s, low 80s, and you just finished like your second mini testlet, I would just move on to the next chapter. All right. All right. We are going to wrap up here. Last call for any questions or comments. Appreciate you guys hanging with me live. I think it made it better. All right. All right. Well, that does it for this episode of the Another 71 CPA Exam podcast. If you have a question about the CPA exam, your accounting career, or simply managing life in the CPA exam, you can leave your question in the comments, and I'll answer it on the next podcast. Or you can you can email me, jeff@another71.com. That's jeff@another71.com, or you can go to another71.com/Jeff, and I'll get it there as well. All right. Until next time, everyone, be good, take care, and I will talk to you soon.